Greetings, everyone. Rajee Narinesingh here, transgender activist, author, spiritualist, actress, show host, reality TV personality, and outreach advocate for Trans Social, a trans-led, trans-focused organization. So I'm coming to you from my very humble home here in South Florida, USA, and if you're watching this video, chances are I have passed away. I am no longer in this physical form here on the planet Earth. It's either that or I'm very, very sick. I'm not able to get on my social media and change the premiere date to this video. I wanted to do, I guess you could call it a bit of a farewell video to the world for anyone that might care to listen. And if you don't know who I am, you can Google me, Rajee, R-A-J-E-E, Narinesingh, N-A-R-I-N-E-S-I-N-G-H. If you Google Rajee, I'll probably pop up. So, you know, in case you want to know more about, like, my story, what I've been through, the journey that I've had. Yeah, so, farewell video. Wow. Well, the reality is, we all have to go. You know, we all have to leave this physical world. And at least now we do. Who knows? With all this technology, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, in my life, I've seen technology go leaps and bounds. I mean, just amazing. From like a house phone to now we walk around with computers in our hands. These phones that are computers. So yeah, who knows? But for the most part now, the reality is that we have to leave one day. We have to leave these physical bodies and this earthly plane. And that could be tomorrow. That could be 2 weeks from now, a year from now, 10 years from now, 30 years from now, who knows? But I wanted to do this video and I said, you know what? Do it today. Do it today so that when the moment comes that I have to leave, at least I'll go knowing that I left this farewell video for whoever cares to listen. So, wow. Mortality and like the reality that we have to leave this world. You know, it's something I think about. I don't walk around thinking about death every day, day in and day out, but it's there in my consciousness. And I think, you know, what it does for me is it helps me to live my life, I guess, to the fullest, because I don't take my time here for granted. And yeah, I think that's really what it's done for me. Now, I grew up in a home with a father who was Hindu and my mom is Christian. Today is April 18th, 2022. Yes, 2022. And my mom is still here on the earthly plane with me, thank God, for now. But yeah, so I don't know if my sister would necessarily agree with this, because, you know, it's interesting how siblings can grow up in the same family unit and have like all different perspectives, you know. But for me, I would say that growing up in the family unit that I grew up in, one of the blessings of that was the spirituality that I got from it, because there was an awareness in the home that there's a higher power, you know, that divine God life energy force that's the glue to our existence. But we weren't like made to connect with this divine higher power in a particular way. Like, in other words, my dad wasn't saying, you know, Hinduism is the only way, you must do it this way. And my mom wasn't saying Christianity is the only way and you must do it this way. So that allowed me to explore my spirituality more. And, you know, the realization that there's many roads to one's spirituality. And I think the important thing is connecting, not so much how you connect, but being able to connect. I mean, hey, if 6 people are coming to my house, to my home, um, some might fly, some might take a bus, some might drive, maybe a personal walk. They'll take different streets. I mean, but all get to the destination. And that's how I look at religion and spirituality. I think it's an individual thing. And for me, I practiced Buddhism, Nichiren Shoshu Buddhism, in my late teens, early 20s, only for a few years. And what Buddhism did for me is it helped me to be still, to go within and focus. I mean, I would sometimes chant for hours, and so after a while I kind of moved away from that, and I got into the different spiritual gurus like Deepak Chopra, Louise Hay, Marianne Williamson, Gary Zukav. I mean, there's so many of them, and I'd listen to their videos and read their material. And so it's been like an evolution for me, and me just discovering myself more spiritually. And currently I do go to a spiritual center. It's called the Center for Spiritual Living. It's not religious, it's more spiritual. It's basically, I think of it as like spirituality on a PhD level. And so we study the laws of the universe, like the law of attraction and the law of giving and receiving. These laws work regardless of what religion you are, where you're from, whether you use them strategically for your divine, right, and perfect highest good, or you use them by default. So, hey, why not use them strategically, for like an optimal life? And so that's what the center has really provided for me. And we're hopefully at the end of the pandemic, COVID pandemic, 2022. We'll see what happens. But for a couple years, I wasn't able to really go because people were quarantining and just being really safe and not going into like crowds and that sort of thing. But fortunately, they have their service online every Sunday, so I'm able to tune in and get a positive message for the week. But recently I did go back in person, and it's just nice to have some sort of, community where you can connect, like a spiritual community. But again, it's a one-on-one thing. It's very individual, and what works for you might not work for me. What works for me might not work for you. But the important thing, I would say, is to like plug in, get connected. And so I think that spirituality has truly been one of the things that has gotten me through this life journey. As a multiracial transgender woman of color, I have been through, oh my gosh, great discrimination and injustice, and even some physical beatdowns. And so it's been rough, but it's also, been a journey of many blessings. And so my spirituality is very important to me, and it really has been, I would say, an anchor for my life. Now, multiracial transgender woman of color. Wow. Most of my life, I felt like I've been like in this gender war. Because, the reality is the world that we live in, and things are changing. People are getting a little more fluid with their gender, but for a very long time it was the binary, male, female. And if you're someone that kind of like fell in the middle there, oftentimes you would be subject to discrimination and injustice and basically hate, and so from the age of 4 they were calling me faggot from the age of 4, and that was the beginning of many years of relentless bullying and some physical beatdowns. Um, but despite that, I always had this thing in me that, like, my life means something. I'm here for a purpose too, just like we all are. We all have a divine purpose here. And I've had to stand in my truth. And as hard as my life has been, as hard as it's been, there's a freedom when you live your authentic truth. I call it like, when you're not able to like live your optimal life and live your authenticity, it's like being in a social prison. And I think everyone, no matter who you are, where you're from, has experienced this on some level. Maybe not to the degree of like what a transgender person experiences it, but on some level, there's been a moment in your journey where you've had to stand in your truth against many odds, against the naysayers. People say, "Oh, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. You should do it this way, not that way. Why would you make that decision?" And you stood in your truth because you knew that it was the right thing for you to do. And I think everyone on some level can relate to that. And that's what life has been for me. Despite all that I've been through, I have just had to stand in my truth and live this transgender experience. The gender thing, it's so, no matter where you go in the world, there's quote unquote gender rules. The way a man is supposed to act in that society, the way a woman is supposed to act, the role of a male, the role of a female. And so gender, even with interacting socially, plays a really, really important part in our socialization. And so I can understand people maybe being a little uncomfortable, with the trans thing. And I mean, hell, there's people in the world that look at someone like me and say, "Oh my God, she's lost, she's an abomination. How dare you, be transgender?" And I have spoken at so many different venues because for a long time I've realized the importance of educating people, sharing my story. And I've seen bridges of understanding happen before my eyes. You walk into a room and the walls are up, and then after hearing my story, slowly but surely the walls come down and there's a human connection. Because when it's all said and done, we're all human beings living this human experience, and so I've realized the importance of educating, because when people are ignorant about something, when they're ignorant about something, they're usually fearful of it. So they want to run from it or either destroy it. That's what fear does with people. And so I've, for a long time, shared my story. And just knowing that I too have a purpose and a place has been like my driving force. It really has. I pray all the time that I'm able to, no matter where I go, spread love and light and inspire people in my own special way, my own unique way. I pray for that. I want to leave this world better than what I found it. That's the core intent. My core intention. All the titles that I have, all the things that I do, that's the core intention that I have. And I've seen it. I've been blessed to see those things manifest. And I continue to pray because that's how I, plan on living the rest of my life. It's just so wonderful when you're able to touch someone in a positive way. And that's the beauty that we human beings have. We're able to touch people, touch one another in positive, uplifting ways. I've seen it. I've gotten messages from all around the world, thanking me for being an inspiration and the activist work that I've done, and just being able to see my love and my light, and meeting people, connecting with people. I went to a brunch the other day with some friends, and oh my God, we're leaving the restaurant, and this couple, they're pulling up in their car to have their car valeted, and the girl rolls down her window, and she starts screaming, "Oh my God, you're famous! You're famous! Oh my God, I love you!" And I'm like, thank you. What's your name? And connecting with her, and then she's like, "Oh, I gotta get a picture," and she gets out, and we take a few pictures, and she then looked in my eyes and she said, "I just came from a funeral." And she said, "I was feeling so sad and so depressed. And after meeting you and connecting with you, you just made my day." And when I tell you, in that moment, I just got chills all over my body, because isn't that what life is about? I mean, really, think about it. When you go to someone's funeral and you're seeing their body laying there, it's an empty shell. You don't feel the energy of life there. And do you think about do you really think about the car that person drove, the home that person had, the clothes that person wore? No, you think about how that person touched your life, how that person made you feel. And so I've been blessed to, be able to see that in my life. I have a certain level of notoriety, and because of that, I've been able to connect with so many people around the world, and been blessed to see what I call the divine magic happening. And so, despite people out there that look at me and think, "Oh, that she's an abomination," or "He is an abomination," and it's so funny. People, this whole trans thing. Well, that's a man. Well, especially when it's a guy, I'm like, what? Like, buddies do you have that are like me? Like, do you hang out with your buddies, with your boys that are like me? And I get that. I'm not a cisgendered female. I'm not, I get that. But I'm a trans woman, and that's how I identify myself. And I've always been connected to more of a femininity than a masculinity. And it's nature. I mean, there's cultures in the world that look at trans people as just like a part of nature. In Fiji, the Fahafafinas is what they call us. And it's just, it means of the feminine way. And they look at it like there's male, female, and then there's a third gender. And Thailand and parts of India, and there's cultures, even the Native Americans at one time really honored and revered trans people. Trans people were very revered and looked on as special. And see, that's all about like relativity and how you look at something. Like, you can look at someone like me and say, "Oh my God, abomination, and she's crazy," or they're crazy. What are they doing? They're lost soul. Or you could look at someone like me and say, "Wow, that person has the gift of duality, the male and the female together. That's a gift." So it's all relative to how you perceive things. But when I go and speak at these different venues, I talk about nature. There are transgender fish. Yes, fish that during the span of their lifetime turn from one gender to the other. Worms are intersex, both male and female together. The male seahorse is the one that carries the offspring. Look at the beautiful butterflies. They start as a caterpillar and they transition into a beautiful butterfly. Who doesn't like a butterfly? Well, listen, I'm sure there's people out there that don't, but for the most part, I mean, butterflies are beautiful. And, that's how I like to think of us trans people, as we manifest and we go through our transition to live our optimal, authentic lives, and beautiful butterflies. So if these things exist in nature, why wouldn't the diversity exist in us human beings? That's why there's, heterosexual people born, gay people born, trans people born, bisexual people born, all types of people born, and this isn't like a one-time thing. It continues to happen over and over again in nature. So if it exists with creatures in our nature, why wouldn't it exist with us human beings? A friend of mine sent me a message. Yesterday was Easter, and I loved it because it kind of addresses how, people that judge trans people in a negative way, and they have this mentality, well, God made you a certain gender and that's the gender you're supposed to be, and you're an abomination, and how could you do that, against God? And so I loved it. I thought it was powerful. God made you a brunette, yet you are now a blonde. God gave you bad vision, yet you fixed it with glasses. God gave you crooked teeth, yet you straightened them with braces. Trans people change the outside to match the inside, just like you do. Sit down, Jesus said to. Well, I guess because it was Easter, that was the Jesus reference. But I absolutely love it because it's true. I mean, when you think about our existence here on the planet, we have literally gone from the caves to the computers. And what I mean by that is, whatever you believe in, we have these minds that we were given, and really I'm touching my brain right now. Who knows where my mind is? But we have these minds that we were given to create. Before there was anything, someone had to think of the idea and then work to manifest it. A wheel, the cars. Let's build a container that can allow us to fly like birds. The chair I'm sitting in, the camera that I'm using to do this video, all our technology, internet. I mean, and it's because of our minds. Like someone came up with an idea and worked to manifest it, to make it happen. And so, we have this ability. We have this ability to do that. And so if, me as someone being trans, why wouldn't I, want to match the way I feel on the inside with the way I look on the outside and create that, create it. So yeah, oh my God, I could go on and on with this topic. I really could, because there's so much to say. But my prayer is that I really truly do leave this world a better place, better than I found it. And that when the time comes for me to leave, that I know that to the core of my existence. As I stated earlier in the video, I believe that this isn't it. Like we human beings, we're living, breathing vibrational energy, moving and interacting here on the earthly realm. But when our bodies are over with and our spirit, the energy, the essence that we are, leaves and goes somewhere else, because physics says energy doesn't die, it changes form. And it shows that physics has shown that energy never dies, it just changes form. And that's what we are, that's what we human beings are. So and for that matter, all living things have that vibrational energy, that energy of life. And so I want to ask you, whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever you're watching this video, whether it's a year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, 1,000 years from now, can you please just stop for one moment and say my name? Rajee Narinesingh. Say it out loud and send me some love. Rajee Narinesingh, I send you love. And wherever I am, I promise, wherever I am in existence, I will send you some love back, and possibly a blessing for that day. Oh my God, the power of connection. And I'm trusting that there's going to be people in the future when I'm long gone that will be saying my name and sending me love. And on that note, how do I end this video? I mean, really. When you think of a farewell video to the world, there really is so much to say. How do I end? What more do I say? But I think you got the message. I think you really truly feel my love and my light, and you've been able to connect to the spirit that I am. I could say so much more, but I think I've said it. I think I've said it. And on that note, I'm gonna end the video and say to you that I wish for your existence love, happiness, peace, good health, prosperity, and many wonderful blessings. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Bye.